In preparation for Biden's Oval Office address last night, a Fox News host had a total meltdown that led her to call for the end of all travel to the United States. All of it. Immigration, tourism, gone. Well, get ready for this one. I haven't seen something this unhinged in quite a while. Fox News host Jeanine Pirro was laying out before Biden's Oval Office address last night what she wanted to hear from the president. He, of course, was addressing the nation on the war taking place between Israel and Hamas, as well as discussing a funding bill he's asking Congress to pass that would provide aid to Israel, humanitarian aid for Palestinians, aid to Ukraine, Taiwan, and funding to the southern border. A lot going on there. And listen, I know Jeanine Pirro is not the most sane person on television, but I was listening to this clip and nearly spit my water out. It was even more shocking than I'm used to with Jeanine Pirro. She's just doing her normal rants, then all of a sudden says, hey, entire world, none of you should be able to come anymore. Take a look at this.
I want the president to claw back the $6 billion. I want him to call out Iran. I want him to say, I want those hostages back. And today, you mentioned the State Department has issued a worldwide alert, travel alert to Americans. I want Joe Biden to issue a travel alert to the world. None of you are coming here anymore. We're done with everybody. And I want him to take the FBI off the Catholics, off the parents, and off the political enemies. I want him in the chat rooms. I want him online. I want him to find the threats to Americans that they missed with the Boston bomber, San Bernardino, the Pulse nightclub. And I want the world to respect us again.
What do you say to that? Normally, we hear anti-immigration rhetoric that postures as exclusively against undocumented immigrants, but there she isn't even making that stipulation. Let me read you in a monotone fashion what you just heard there. Quote, I want him to call out Iran. I want him to say, I want those hostages back. And today you mentioned the State Department has issued a worldwide travel alert to Americans. I want Joe Biden to issue a travel alert to the world. None of you are coming here anymore. We're done with everybody. Jeanine, you're crazy. There was once a time, we like to believe there was, when Americans more broadly understood that this country is immigration. We are immigrants. That is one of the defining characteristics of the founding of this country. And I'll remind Jeanine of what's written on the Statue of Liberty. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Jeanine is responding to that saying, I don't want your stupid lamp, and close the dang golden door. I'm being silly, but honestly pretty disgusting. And also, not that she wanted to engage with this, but I might add to this conversation the fact that we'd also experience an economic catastrophe if all of a sudden we just cut off all travel to the United States and all immigration to the United States. It would be awful for our economy. And what's so sad about clips like that is you just know so many people are eating it up, not thinking through any logical argument as to why we should do what she's suggesting, but just being driven based on emotion, coming from the facts over feelings people. By the way, to address this point,
Biden, because of what has happened, must prove to the world tonight that it was not Israel that threw a bomb at a hospital. I want to ask you, Greg, have you seen a bombed out hospital? Has anyone at this table seen it? Has anyone seen a bag of 500 Palestinian body bags, 300? Even now they're saying it's between 10 and 50. And yet the world is ready to go on fire to believe a lie that Joe Biden could put the truth to it immediately.
Biden was super quick to make public his awareness that the hospital attack was not Israel. He was the first one to shift the headlines because he said during his meeting with Netanyahu that U.S. intelligence he had been briefed on revealed it wasn't Israel. So I don't know why she made that point like Biden had failed thus far to make that clear. And then you have this moment.
And I want him to take the FBI off the Catholics, off the parents, and off the political enemies.
Yeah, so there she's playing into the FBI is weaponized against conservatives talking point. It's not accurate. We've been covering the way that they've been bending themselves into pretzels trying to explain how Bob Menendez being indicted is still proof of their conspiracy theory. As a reminder, Democratic Senator Bob Menendez was indicted for bribery, acting as a foreign agent, all these different wild things. And it's been so telling watching the way that quote unquote liberal media has been responding compared to how conservative media responds to legal troubles on their side. A powerful Democrat is indicted and unanimously elected Democrats, liberals in the media outlets in the middle all say This is very serious. There seems to be damning evidence. Good for the DOJ for pursuing this. And many Democrats are even calling on Menendez to resign. Not a single one, you may notice, saying this is a witch hunt or the DOJ is rigged against liberals. That is what a response to a story like this looks like when you aren't dishonestly blinded by your partisanship. But then right-wing media can't even fathom the possibility that maybe Trump just did some bad stuff. Maybe all of the world, all these different jurisdictions and prosecutors and judges, maybe they are all rigged against Donald Trump. And Janine, if you're really concerned with the weaponization of law enforcement, what do you have to say to this clip?
Remember, it's a Democrat charging his opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That means that if I win and somebody wants to run against me, I call my attorney general. I say, listen, indict him. Well, he hasn't done anything wrong that we know of. I don't know. Indict him on income tax evasion. You'll figure it out.
Joe Biden has rightfully kept himself miles away from Trump's prosecutions. He won't even barely comment on them. Trump is being prosecuted for his own actions based on prosecutors feeling it necessary to bring charges against him. That is the rule of law. But there, Donald Trump is saying, I don't care about the rule of law. I'm just going to get my attorney general to lock up my political opponents. And can you even imagine if Biden this weekend was delivering a speech and said what you just heard there from Donald Trump? I think the Fox News headquarters would just burst into flames immediately. And importantly, liberal media would condemn it repeatedly, rightfully so. But Trump is doing that on the regular, and Janine Pirro doesn't care one bit. Without evidence, she's willing to say that Biden is targeting his political opponents, while the person she's defending is promoting his plan to lock up his political opponents. Sheesh. Also remind you that Trump's former top general, Mark Milley, has privately warned of this very possibility. He expects, if Trump gets in the White House once again, for him to start locking up his political enemies. And Mark Milley thinks he's at the top of the list. For good reason, Mark Milley being the person that Trump called for the execution of. So while Janine Pirro rants about things that are helping absolutely no one, adding nothing of value to our political discussion, Joe Biden's actually trying to accomplish stuff. Here was one of the moments from his Oval Office address last night. Before getting to the request to Congress, he discusses the different threats being faced.
Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy, completely annihilate it. Hamas' stated purpose for existing is the destruction of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas uses Palestinian civilians as human shields, and innocent Palestinian families are suffering greatly because of them. Meanwhile, Putin denies Ukraine has or ever had real statehood. He claims the Soviet Union created Ukraine. And just 2 weeks ago, he told the world that if the United States and our allies withdraw, and if the United States withdraw, our allies will as well, military support for Ukraine would have, quote, a week left to live, but we're not withdrawing.
You notice there, and it's been incredible to see Joe Biden emphasizing with his words and actions, most importantly, that the line cannot be blurred between Hamas and innocent Palestinian people. In these remarks, he repeatedly made that point. His actions have shown it as well, successfully coordinating to get humanitarian aid into Gaza and the West Bank. The U.S. president should be doing both, standing with Israel amid their war with Hamas and doing everything to minimize the suffering of innocent Palestinians. He even talked about not giving up, even in this moment, on a solution to the broader conflict, a two-state solution. Israelis and Palestinians both deserve dignity and self-determination. Take a look at this moment.
The terrorist group Hamas unleashed pure, unadulterated evil in the world. But sadly, the Jewish people know perhaps better than anyone that there is no limit to the depravity of people when they want to inflict pain on others. In Israel, I saw people who are strong, determined, resilient, and also angry, in shock and in deep, deep pain. I also spoke with President Abbas, the Palestinian Authority, and reiterated that the United States remains committed to the Palestinian people's right to dignity and to self-determination. The actions of Hamas terrorists don't take that right away. Like so many other, I'm heartbroken by the tragic loss of Palestinian life, including the explosion at the hospital in Gaza, which was not done by the Israelis. We mourn every innocent life lost. We can't ignore the humanity of innocent Palestinians who only want to live in peace and have an opportunity.
He's using his role as the president of the United States in this moment to both stand with our ally and advocate for the well-being of Palestinian civilians, which is powerful. hopefully he continues to do that and follows through on some of the commitments that he made. And then here was his request to Congress.
American leadership is what holds the world together. American alliances are what keep us, America, safe. American values are what make us a partner that other nations want to work with. To put all that at risk, if we walk away from Ukraine, if we turn our backs on Israel, it's just not worth it. That's why tomorrow I'm going to send to Congress an urgent budget request to fund America's national security needs, to support our critical partners, including Israel and Ukraine. It's a smart investment that's going to pay dividends for American security for generations. Help us keep American troops out of harm's way. Help us build a world that is safer, more peaceful, more prosperous for our children and grandchildren.
And the criticism from many has been, why attach these different funding elements into one package? It's actually something I really support, because the funding he's requesting, all of it is necessary, but all of it wouldn't actually be able to get through by itself. So being able to win over some people over here with this aspect and some people over there with that aspect, and it all being under the broader national security and international crisis umbrella, I think makes a whole lot of sense. And I'll close on this. With all of his flaws, this is one of those moments where you're glad that President Biden is in the White House and not Donald Trump. Hey, before you go, don't forget to become a member at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership to get access to a daily bonus show, an entire bonus show Monday through Friday exclusively for our members. Plus, follow me on Threads at Luke Beasley Official, Instagram at Luke Beasley Official, Twitter or X at Luke P. Beasley. Sign up for the Beasley Brief, a daily morning newsletter summarizing the previous day's events by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/brief, and I will see you all in the next video.